Hi, welcome to the Sterling Trading Tech Roundtable. My name is Danny Corrigan, and I'm leading the Sterling Trading Tech expedition to expand our business in the European markets. Thank you very much, David Mudie, Group CEO of Sigma Broking, for joining us today. Dave is known to lots of people in the international financial markets. He's been involved in futures and options forever. Prior to Sigma, joining Sigma as Group CEO, he was with RJ O'Brien, and he's had a very long and distinguished career in the financial markets of London. Spent some good time in the US, he'll tell us about in a little while as well, and he has an affection for the country. Today we're going to talk just about on two things. So first of all, Dave, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Two questions. Over the last year, someone said recently, the transformation has been like a 5-year transformation in 1 year because of the COVID pandemic. You know, people working from home, adoption of technology and so forth, but also the rise of other different kinds of participants in the market. So historically, you know, most of the markets, the continuously traded markets that we're involved in, equities, equity options, futures and options, and FX, have been the domain of banks, broker dealers, futures clearing members, and so forth. But over that time, we've seen the rise of the young people have got a bit of cash together and decided to buy themselves a barrel of oil, because you can do that now with the micro contracts. We've seen the rise of retail all over the world. B3 in Brazil now, the largest futures exchange in the world, certainly vying with that, and the equity, and the same true in equities in India and so forth. So we've seen the rise of the young and the bold, we'll call them, the young and the bold. We've seen the rise of all those far away markets. But what we've seen is people, you know, are doing this for many reasons. It can't just be in boredom. What have you guys been seeing at Sigma, and where do you think it goes from here? Is it going to go back to where it was, or is it going to push on more all to all?
Well, first of all, Danny, thanks for having me today. It's a very interesting and kind of broad question and topic that we can talk about today. So I think it's been coming for a long time, and I think you've seen over the relatively short space of time, going back 10, 12, 15 years ago, it was quite difficult for the retail investor to trade anything other than the majors, the major FTSE stocks or the major US stocks. But as technology has evolved so quickly, and so as the industry as a whole, that you can now, as you rightfully said, you can now trade a barrel of oil. You can trade all the kind of precious metals contracts, hundreds of currency pairs, ETFs, obviously a big kind of driver of retail investors in the States, all straight from your mobile phone. And you can open up an account with various types of companies in a matter of minutes and a few clicks. So that's definitely driven a lot of people, or given them easy access to markets to trade. So it's not just boredom, but it's definitely a factor, especially with some stimulus checks and everything you read about in the US, driving that kind of retail investor flows into various stocks and things like that. So I think it's here to stay, though. I don't see it dissipating. I think there's definitely a kind of a new kind of investor, especially in the European markets. But you see more of a kind of a retail footprint in the US, which is being repeated over here.
So whenever we'd go to America, I remember through the years, go to America, you get in a taxi, JFK, and a guy would start telling you about the yield on the treasury bill and tell you about all the stocks to buy and so forth. Taxi drivers don't do that in London. They just bitch and moan about the weather or whatever it is. But
and the traffic.
Yeah, but you, as you rightly said, the technology is available now, and the markets, I think here, as you rightly said, you think you think they're going to continue to develop the way they are, so that the rise of the retail, the rise of the young, and into the different products like that, as you say, all those different currency pairs. And do you think it's this? Is it because they can get symmetric pricing? They can access the pool the same level as other people?
Yeah, well, that's what they believe they can do. Sure, I mean, obviously the retail investor's always been a little bit disadvantaged, especially in the UK, having to go through a number of layers to access the market. But having the ability to essentially point and click from your phone and trading directly in these markets has made it so much more accessible. And you've seen that mainly in the UK through CFDs, but obviously it's growing and growing exponentially at the moment. So yeah, I do think it's here to continue.
So at Sterling Trading in the States, been going for 20 years. In December, we saw about 8% of the US equity options market, and we're looking at doing stuff in Europe. do you think, like a firm like yourselves, how do you manage the risk now? Because what's happening, people only have to put up a little bit for initial margin at the clearing houses, or they put up a little bit of haircut for over the counter. How do you guys, how do you work out the good guy or the good girl from the bad guy and the bad girl?
Well, we don't kind of support that type of client at Sigma, but previously in my career, I've had a lot of involvement in that. So you're really looking at these huge volatility events that we've all seen over the past 6, 9, 12 months, with the start of the pandemic, with major volatility events like the US election, the realization of Brexit, and the big kind of currency moves we've seen. So it's all down to prudent risk management, systems and controls, and obviously a heavy reliance on technology. Technology to manage the risk of the clients and the risk that you have to yourselves, to the clearinghouse. So it's technology and people, as it always has been, but more reliant now.
So you've led into the next thing. So the second question, there's only two. Second question is around when will things get back to normal? So people that are watching this, especially people in the States, that you should know that the city of London is twinned with Chernobyl in Ukraine. That basically where the nuclear plant blew up in the 1980s. And there's people in Chernobyl. There's a few people and a few animals that really shouldn't be there. In much the same way, in the city of London, you get a few people that are in the offices, and Dave is one of those. So he will be able to tell us. The question everyone wants to know is, when can we go back in? When are we allowed? Now, of course, the government has got some say in this, but Dave is a very important person. So he runs his business from the office and a little bit from home, as you can see. So Dave, when do you think, when will we be, having a sharpener in the city?
Well, I think, Danny, you and I have spoken about this before, but you've seen the incredible rollout that we're doing on the vaccination program here in the UK. I think I was looking at it earlier, just over 31% of people now have had their first dose. Obviously, a huge rollout in the States with, I think, 15, 16%. And then you're looking at, other countries that are doing phenomenal efforts as well. The return to the city, the return to the kind of normal office life, I think we're looking at the end of the summer. As we roll out, going through the government guidelines, obviously the next kind of big date is in April 12th, and then we kind of roll out towards the end of June. So it's coming. Hopefully it's coming quicker than we will hope. But there's definitely some room for some more speed bumps down the road. We're not out of it yet.
So we've seen growth of business. There's been some peaks and troughs, but growth of business. We're seeing people coming across. We're hoping our colleagues from Sterling Trading Tech can come over as well. There's Fareed and Jim and Andrew on the line. In fact, everyone. Magdalene, I'm sure, wants to come, and the whole team would love to come over. We're trying to work out when that can be and when we can go over there as well. So we're hoping again this summer. The key dates around here in the UK always revolve around football, and the key date is so the Prime Minister's got his dates, as you rightly said, 8th of March, 12th of April, 23rd of May. But the key day really is the 12th of June, is the start of the Euros, which was supposed to be all over the whole of Europe, but may not be, because a lot of the European countries haven't got vaccines for one reason or the other. And so the whole tournament may be here. If that's the case, we'll do something. Sterling Trading Tech will put on a party for sure. I'm in June. So, and we'd love to see you then, Dave. We will see each other before, I'm sure. But I wanted to say thanks ever so much for enlightening us onto what's going on across the world and what's happening here in the UK. And if anyone needs to know who we are, that's Dave Mudie, Group CEO of Sigma Broking. No relation at all to that bakery chain, the Greek bakery chain, Sigma, is it? No relation?
No, unfortunately not.
Thank you very much. This is from Sterling Trading Technique, Sterling Trading Tech, excuse me, and thank you ever so much. Join us again sometime. Okay.